poor. We were poor to start the game. I think Philadelphia made it tough for us to get into any kind of rhythm. But at the end of the day, we just weren't particularly sharp on the night, sharp with the ball. That left us in a lot of defending situations. We didn't defend particularly well. But my message to them was the urgency that we saw in the last 30 minutes. We need to see that from the beginning. They know that. That's what they've been doing for a number of weeks now. So today, I'd certainly like to think is an aberration.
Coach, I guess at the end there, was it just maybe frustration that boiled over, or do you think it was kind of just tense like that throughout the match from your perspective?
Yeah, it was a pretty tense game. There were some interesting challenges, and the way it was handled or not handled, I think, contributed to that building throughout the game.
Robin, feels like a million years ago, but your thoughts on Connor taking the penalty and his performance in that?
Great penalty. I'd never seen Connor take a penalty before. I didn't really know what to think. And he hit it with real conviction. It was a fantastically taken penalty. He's been really such a bright light for us all year. And it was good for him to score and to get on the score sheet. I think personally it was good for him. He's been good for us all year, whether he's scoring goals or not. So it's nice that he scored a goal. I think what's more important is that he's been really good for us all year. More important for me. For him, I'm sure scoring the goal is great.
Yeah, difficult challenge in the midfield, kind of the 3-5-2 from Philadelphia. And as you mentioned, it was chippy throughout the game as well. What challenges did they present? What would you like to see more after going up 1-0?
Yeah, it's for the whole first half, it was us with the ball. We had the ball. We didn't keep it very long. We gave it away uncharacteristically and then put ourselves in situations where we had to defend a lot. I would like to have seen us have been better with the ball.
Robin, just a follow-up on Connor. How have you seen his ability to just transition really well and be able to play with kind of a rotating midfield, Ryan coming out, Ralph being in there, Danny coming in, just his ability to play off all these different people in almost a very rotating midfield?
He's really intelligent. Connor's a really intelligent player. And he also plays with an extremely high level of intensity or engagement. Maybe that's a better way to put it. So when you have an intelligent player who's always engaged, he oftentimes just knows where he needs to be based on the positioning of the others and the movement of others. And he has been good for us in so many ways throughout the year. Different times he's been more of an attacking player. Different times he's helped us start attacks. Different times he's defended really well. So he's been able to help us in a number of different ways. And the question about how does he adapt to the rotating players and that, it really comes down to his intelligence and his awareness.
What did you like about his performance and his ability to play next to Coach Robin? Those two seem to have a good connection right away.
Yeah, Danny is another one who is at his very young age. He's had some experience. He's played a lot with Seattle, obviously. And one of his strengths really is moving the team from the back part of the field to the front part of the field. And he finds really good spots where he can make himself available for defenders. He has good ideas of what's going on around him. He's been really helpful to us in his short time here, and will continue to be helpful to us as we go throughout the season.
A couple weeks ago, Diego tweets that it's hard to play when the refs talk to him the way they do. Tonight, we see Lawless has to be separated from the pack 2 or 3 times in the first half there, and regardless of why it starts at the end of the game, the frustration boils over. You see Ryan riveted somebody's shirt, appears to spin on somebody. At what point do you think that the team's approach to the referee interferes with what they're doing on the field?
That's a really loaded question. my initial response, and it sounds really flippant, would be, I think you have to play in one of these games to understand what it's like. Losing your cool and getting red cards and yellow cards because of your emotions is not okay. But until you've played a game on one of these fields, it's very, very hard to comment on what it's like to deal with some of the things that happen on the field. So I'll leave it at, it's not okay to get cards due to emotions. I suppose to some extent we're all emotional, but you have to be able to control that, and you have to be able to deal with the factors. And sometimes some of the factors are mind-boggling calls, and you have to be able to deal with that. If you don't, then things can get away from you. But like I said, it's a tough comment. It's a tough question to comment on if you haven't been in one of those games, in one of those situations.
I'll ask a simpler question. Do you believe professional athletes should be tweeting about officiating?
I'm not a professional athlete, so I don't necessarily have an opinion about that. I think these days, you want to get me on a rant, you really want to get me going, we can talk about social media. I mean, that's a real topic if you want to discuss something. I think there are lots of things people shouldn't tweet about, like a lot of things. And that's the world we live in now, that everyone can tweet on their phone or hide behind their keyboards, and everyone's got opinions if there's no accountability. And that is what the world of social media is, in my opinion.
In the unbeaten streak that the team had, a lot of the success was on the road, where it seems like normally the team's really good at home and they struggle on the road, where now it seems like the team's doing really well on the road but struggling at home. So what are your thoughts on that? Is it just something that there's the pressure of playing at home and the pressure's building to play well in front of the fans, or?
Am I allowed to curse?
We'll censor.
It's a mind, isn't it? Absolutely. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing during the game. And we've historically done so well here that you definitely, it's a head scratcher. The level of engagement on the road obviously has been fantastic. You know that it's always a difficult proposition to go on the road and play in this league. And when you come home, it's supposed to be the comforts of your friendly environment. And for whatever reason, we've not played as well here. St. Louis notwithstanding, I thought we were really good against St. Louis. But this game to me is a little bit of a head scratcher again, because we have been playing well. We've been playing very confidently, and tonight was a really odd one.
This Philly team has been one of the best teams in MLS over the last couple of years, and you say minus, if your team maybe comes into it with a little bit more aggressiveness, like you said, do you feel like this is a good litmus test for where you guys are at and where you can be at the end of the season, knowing that this season you have shown up against the best teams in this league?
Yeah, if this is a litmus test, then I'm not so excited about what we're doing. I would say this is an aberration. I think the litmus test has been week in, week out for the last number of weeks, and we've shown that we can compete against the best teams in the league, and we weren't good enough tonight. And their front group is excellent. The way they combine and play off each other, really, really good. But we've played against teams that are really good. We played against LAFC. LAFC is pretty good. And I look at it, and sometimes you have games like this. And it's not, I don't say that to excuse it, because it's never okay to have a poor performance. But again, if you've played long enough, you've been around it long enough, you know it happens from time to time. The question really is, as I said, this sort of thing happens. I feel like most teams have at least one stinker a year, like one real stinker a year. The question is, what's the response going to be? So if you're talking about what the test is Wednesday coming off of this performance.
Robin, both goals tonight coming off of layoffs resulting in one-timers. Is that just Philadelphia making good plays, or is somebody
missing a rotation on defense? What's the adjustment?
Every goal is a good play by the attacking group and mistakes by the defending team. I thought we should have handled the first one long before it got there. And I don't remember what led to the second one. But in the final action, again, we're not in positions to deal with a ball that's cut back and a player has time to. It's a really well hit ball. But we'd certainly like to think that in the moments where they're cutting a ball back to the top of the box, that we'd have someone there to deal with that.
Robin, do you believe the news that came out Wednesday about Max maybe had any impact on the result tonight from, I guess, a psychological standpoint from the locker room?
I don't think so. I haven't really heard anyone talk about it at all. Maybe they do when I'm not around. It's possible. But I think when we look at tonight, I think really it is we all have to look at ourselves and how we approached it. And I have to reevaluate what we tried to do. And they need to evaluate their ability to execute it. So this is all encompassing. When I say this was a poor performance, I'm not just talking about the players. I have to look at how we set the team up, what we asked of them. Was that the right thing? Was that the wrong thing? And I think there's plenty of blame to go around, and overall, just a really, really poor performance.
Robin, a long time coming, Moise making his debut tonight. What have you seen from him just getting to this point? The unfortunate injury, obviously, barring some progress, but then, what have you seen from him in training leading up to this point, and then what are your hopes for him in the back line being able to be an important player?
Moise certainly impressed when he first came in. He's a very, very talented young man, athletic and good with the ball, confident. Came in, did well. Obviously had a pretty severe knee injury in training and has been out for quite a while. Worked really hard at coming back. Interesting lesson for a young player to learn in how to take care of yourself. In your first professional season, you get a medium-term injury, not a long-term injury, but a medium-term injury. And he had to learn the discipline that it takes to get yourself back into contention. And he's certainly worked extremely hard in the time he's been gone, and played in our Rapids 2 game last week. It was the first time we'd seen him play in a game since essentially preseason. And he's shown that he's made really good progress. He made really good progress. He had a good week of training. He went and played that game, played 45 minutes, did really well, and had another kind of positive week of training and earned himself the right to be in the 20. And then as the circumstances so had it, he gets into the game tonight and did really well. Things pop into my mind. The header that he knocks down in their box did really well to get to that and put it in a good place. But when you talk about a young defender being caught in a breakaway in a 2-versus-1 in the dying minutes of a game that you're losing, you desperately can't give up a goal. I thought he played that really, really well. And obviously Connor came back and worked and helped him. But I thought Moises' angle was really good, just him checking the angle and making sure he's in that passing lane for as long as possible. I think it speaks volumes to his intelligence and to his potential. And I think he's a player who's going to be a very, very good professional player.
Robin, Yosuke was called up on a short-term loan. What is the coaching staff and the conversations been like with Eric? For him to get this moment, considering you saw him train with the first team in preseason and last year as well?
Yosuke had a really good preseason. He had a really good preseason with us. He showed guile and intelligence and ability to execute in certain positions. And he's gone on to have a very good season so far with Rapids 2. Had a little setback with an injury, but then has come back and looked really good last week. And we needed to add another midfielder, and he certainly has earned the opportunity. It's it speaks more to what he's been doing kind of behind the scenes. I say behind the scenes because we don't see as much of Rapids too, and we don't see them train, or you guys don't see them train. You don't see them play every week. But he has been solid and consistent really since the beginning of the year, starting with us, everything with Rapids too. And when we looked around and said we could use one more midfielder, we could have put another defender on, but we really felt like we needed another midfielder. And Yosuke was the first name we thought of when it came to the second group, because he's been doing well, because he's having a good season. He's really not put a foot wrong since the beginning of the year. So it made perfect sense to bring him in. At the end of the day, we had more attackers on the field to end the game than I've maybe ever seen. So it's not like there was any particular reason he didn't get on. We obviously needed to keep pushing for goals, and it was a little bit of throwing the kitchen sink at it at the end. And it was every attacking player I think we had was on the field. And when you finish the game with three defenders, two defenders at one point, it was really just trying to get every attacking player we could on the field and see if we could make something happen and get a tying goal.
All right, we'll wrap there.
Thank you.